let's jump into Rocky Top. Oh, Rocky Top. Is Tennessee in hot water, or is this another NCAA flex, Mason? Because I guess really what we need to do is kind of let's dress out the story, because this whole thing kind of broke last week whenever we didn't meet up and we weren't talking college football for a week, um, which was weird. It had been a long time since we've done that, but um, so essentially there are some discrepancies in the NIL program with Tennessee. The everybody knows what name, image, and likeness is at this point. Apparently, there was some kind of mishap that went on with Iamaleva, the quarterback that played in the Cheez-It Bowl here just a couple of months ago, and just the all world rumor had it $8 million quarterback, all this stuff. Apparently, he rode on a private jet, and there was just some discrepancies about his recruitment and pay for play type of stuff. And that's really honestly about what do you have something to add to that? Can you be more specific than that? Because I can't really
No.
be any more specific than that, to be honest.
I think you've done a better job of explaining it than the NCAA has. So,
well, yeah, there's not much common sense here in this situation, but I digress. Let's kind of dissect it. So, Tennessee basically filed, the state of Tennessee, the AG, and the university filed for a restraining order against the NCAA. And about 24 to 48 hours ago, a court ruled in favor of the NCAA, saying that, they're not going to stop this investigation from going on. There's not going to be any no contact, none of that stuff. Nothing was basically done. The judge in the court, in the Eastern District Court of Tennessee, said, not granting you that. That's not necessary, basically, is what the judge said. Not necessary at this point because no one's been hurt. There's no losses here. All it is an investigation at this point. So I think we're going to have to wait just a little bit to figure out what exactly is going to come of this. But do you think the NCAA's got some teeth here? Or because if you listen to Danny White, the Tennessee athletic director, this is a wild goose chase as far as I'm concerned. This is a witch hunt. And I don't, does the NCAA just have it out for Tennessee, or is there a cause for this problem here?
It does seem like that because this is the second time in about 3 years, I guess, that we don't count years as college football fans. We count seasons, right? We are in the 2024 season already. If y'all didn't know, as soon as January starts, it's 2024 season. Anyways, this is the second time in 3 years that Tennessee has been targeted by the NCAA. Now, what's interesting is last time Tennessee had a coach that they weren't too much in favor of. So they just kind of bent over and said, yeah, we did do all this. Slap us on the wrist. Jamie Pruitt, you're out. We don't have to pay you. You did this, not us. Now you've got Josh Heupel in, and it seems like he's got the backing of the administration at Tennessee, and he is getting their support. They're going to battle for him, and they're trying to put a restraining order, and they're on the offense playing against the NCAA. So that's an interesting point of, them having a target on their back. It's like an orange and white checkered target on Tennessee's back. It seems like that the NCAA is trying to beam down. But to me, what's more interesting is that Tennessee is fighting this because they believe in Josh Heupel, and I think that's an important part of this. To be honest, I don't get too much into the legal stuff when it comes to administrative issues that are going on between programs and the NCAA. But it's hard not to notice what's going on here and how it might affect the NCAA moving forward and how it might affect college football moving forward.
Yeah. So what I kind of understand about this is, as I said, the judge said there's nobody that is being negatively affected by this at this point. So therefore, there was no need for a restraining order, basically, against the NCAA. But I don't know if I totally agree with that. This obviously puts a dark cloud over the program, a program who just shook off a lot of this stuff. And as you said, they threw Jeremy Pruitt and his wife under the bus. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And you know what? Kind of rightfully so. I mean, they didn't do a very good job covering anything up. I mean, $75,000 out of the ATM down at the Sitco in
Yeah.
Knoxville. I mean, that's just not smart. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
that's just not a smart way to do things. So many would say that he had it coming, but this obviously has an effect on Tennessee because they they're saying that there's not been any monetary damage done. But if there is monetary damage done to a recruit and the recruit is capped on how much they can make because of this situation, then they're going to have legal right to sue the NCAA at that point. So, with all that being said, that's great. There is an avenue for things to get right. That's how the American judicial system works. I mean, there's a way for everybody to make it right and square. But man, that's a lot of hassle and a lot of money and a lot of problems for a college kid to be dealing with, right? Now I got to go sue the NCAA to get my money because I wanted to go to Tennessee.
Mhm.
They're not going to, kids aren't going to do that, man. This affects Tennessee negatively. Now, was there wrongdoing done on Tennessee's part? The way that Tennessee's acting, I feel kind of like there is, man, because they're very. This is a very defensive situation that they're in, and the way that Danny White has reacted to this thing, and not to mention the stories that I saw come out yesterday saying, "Well, look at Carson Beck. Carson Beck just bought a $300,000 Lamborghini." I don't understand what that has to do with Tennessee. I don't understand what Carson Beck and what they're saying is that Carson Beck asked for $4 million to come back next year. I don't know if that's true. There's no way for us to cross check this stuff and cross examine it. But he showed up and bought a Lambo truck
Mhm.
the other day, and everybody's like, well, obviously he got his $4 million, and I don't know. That's
Le
not obvious. I mean, who knows?
Let me
But
just say it's really interesting that he goes and gets this Lamborghini on the same weekend that Juju Lewis is on campus. Just saying,
yeah,
if I'm the best quarterback in a decade since Trevor Lawrence to come out, I might look a little bit closer at the program whose starting quarterback just bought a Lambo, and I
yeah,
got to see it, in person maybe.
right,
I just thought that was peculiar.
yeah, yeah. My whole point with it, and I agree with you 100%. I think that that's something that obviously Juju Smith or Juju Lewis is very interested in is that type of lifestyle. Clearly, I mean, this
Mhm.
is a kid that is living in West Georgia and is talking about going to USC. So yeah, obviously the glitz and glam is a big deal for this guy, and he's probably going to be an NFL prospect. So that's every bit his right. He's a badass. Um, but kind of going back to the Tennessee thing, I don't know what the whole Carson Beck situation proves about Tennessee. I don't know what these two things have to do with one another. Um, they're saying that him asking for $4 million is pay for play. So we got to get to a point here where we know what's black and white and not so much gray area in college football. I mean, we're kind of stuck in the dark here, but nonetheless, it has made for some good um, some good stories and some good storylines in college football, no doubt about it. Let's kind of move into our next topic. If you don't have anything else on that subject, Mason.
No, I just think that at some point the can of worms is going to get open to where, and this will be my last point, but at some point the can of worms is going to get open to where it is in the open, right? It is well known that these high school recruits are coming in and getting paid right away, right? So they're coming in with a number in mind
Yeah,
of what to expect.
and
It's
that's
already
and that's pay
happening.
for play.
It's pay for play, but it's in particular, it's um, you're not supposed to use NIL to entice recruits, right? It's supposed to be something you earn and deserve after your performance on the field, but we all know that that's not happening, right? So that to me, that's my issue with the NCAA picking on Tennessee once again when there are programs who do this all over the country, and they could have gone to any program other than maybe like an FCS school, and they would have a reason to they would see some violations in some way if you really went through it with a fine tooth comb. It just seems to me like Tennessee is kind of at the forefront of it once again, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Seems like it'd be something that you'd be definitely trying to avoid if you just went through it. And it seems, I don't know. And the NCAA coming out and saying, you know, we understand why Tennessee's mad, but then again, we've got schools over here asking us to do this,
Hmm.
saying that it's the Wild West out here and we got to do something. And then we try to do something and y'all are all on our ass. So I
Yeah.
see both sides of it. I see both sides of it. Or the NCAA rather is trying to make it as level of a playing field as possible, and which is very hard to do in college football. It's never going to be fair for 130 teams. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I see both sides of it, and we're going to have to wait and see what becomes of this as the investigation continues.
Well, I do want to say,
Uh-huh.
just to kind of get while we're on this point at least, because I know we're not going to talk about it at any other point in the show. You know, do you think that this NCAA violation, right, that Tennessee is accused of doing, is leading to, and the NCAA's investigation into this allegation? Do you think that that's leading to um, this committee that was formed, or it's not a committee, but this union that was formed between the SEC and the Big Ten? And do we think that that's eventually going to become one conference? I mean, we could go so many different directions with speculation on what this meant. But do you think that it was because of what's going on between the NCAA and
I,
Tennessee?
I don't think that that's the sole cause, but I think it's situations like the one that's going on in
Hmm.
Knoxville that have prompted these two power conferences to try to join some type of forces. I don't think they want to all join one conference. I think I think they like the idea of a power two, and I'm kind of getting into something that I'm going to talk about here in just a little bit whenever we go through the 2024 recruiting coming to a close. But you had the Big 12 who closed out recruiting for 24 without not one team in the top 20 in
Hmm.
recruiting. We are really beginning to see, and this year, I think none of them finishing in the top 20 is going to cause a massive, massive gap between. And I know it's not just one recruiting class, it takes cycles. No, there's players transferring out of that conference, and they're getting much less talent than the big two. So I think that's kind of what these two big power conferences are trying to do. They're trying to separate themselves from a Pac-2 situation that we have going on, and we're going to talk about that here in just a few minutes. They're trying to separate themselves from a Big 12 that wants nothing more than to have, you know, that tier below conference. Um, they're never going to be like the Big 10 or the SEC again. It's never going to happen. Um, so I think you've got the ACC and the Big 12 that's going to kind of just follow suit, and you're gonna almost kind of see like in soccer, you got multiple levels of leagues, um, and it's almost like the Big 12 and the ACC has been relegated, right?
Hmm.
That's essentially kind of what's going on in college football, like a relegation that just was kind of the result of all these power teams being able to become even more powerful and use their power, aka resources, aka money. you know so with all that being said, I think they do want to help serve each other in the way of, let's band together, and we're stronger together, and high tides rise all boats, and the Big Ten and the SEC are locked in arm step. They're gonna be a thing. It's gonna be a rivalry, but it's gonna be also a almost like its own league, like a mini NFL. The AFC and NFC. I think that's what we're kind of going towards now. What do you think?
Gosh, you brought up relegation, and I don't know if we've talked about this, but I just love the idea of relegation in college football. I
Yeah,
think that it takes so much of the human error out of it, out of picking who the top 25 are and this and that, and who's going to go to the playoff. I mean, golly, if we just went to a relegation system, right, where the top two of the Big Ten get to join the SEC, and the bottom two of the SEC go down to the Big Ten, and from the Big Ten to the ACC, you would have a drop, and of course you would have to change the names of these conferences, and you would, there would be differences. You can't have SEC and Big Ten if there's a relegation system. It would be, a Champions League and a uh, series league, just like you see in soccer.
yeah,
But I just love the idea of it, and I think that it would bring more attention to the sport than it's ever seen. But also, these conferences want to keep their power. I mean, and so we would never see it. But I love, in the off season, we can talk about stuff like this and kind of fantasize a little bit. And that's one that I fantasize about almost too much, about like I fantasize about the Roman Empire almost daily. Right. So it's a weird one, but I enjoy thinking about that, and,
yeah.
and dreaming about that. Maybe the NCAA 2024 video game will have that option. I don't know, maybe we could turn it on relegation mode. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. I'm can't wait to see some gameplay on that and get my hands on that game. I'm a 30-year-old man, but I'd be damned if I'm gonna let that game come out and me not play it.
Hey,
Um,
I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all, I'm gonna be playing it on YouTube Live, and y'all can come get some of this. Come get some of this. The Ultimate Team is gonna be coming. Y'all come on. Let's go.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ready for it.
I got big into 2K basketball there for a little while. And dude, I went down a 2K basketball like rabbit hole on
Mhm.
PlayStation Live, dude. And if NCAA is coming back in this era of live, online sports, my God, I am I'm gonna be in hog heaven, dude. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
in hog heaven.
I
I can't wait.